Hello everyone, Zeno here. Here to bring part 1 of What If Team RWBY and JNPR went back to Red vs Blue. Link down description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Chapter 1, This Will Be the Day. Remnant, Kingdom of Vale, Beacon Academy. Teams RWBY and JNPR. Premise, Team RWBY has a secret. One they wish to share with their friends. It was a nice afternoon at Beacon Academy. The school day was over, and all the students and teachers were settling down for the rest of the day. Well, all except for 2 teams. You're messing with us, aren't you? Said Nora. It's true, every word, replied Blake. Look guys, I understand you've been acting weird ever since you guys disappeared, and reappeared all of a sudden. But there is no way we are going to believe a story like that, said John. Team RWBY had to give him some credit. It had been only a few weeks since they returned from another dimension. There, they met some of the dumbest soldiers they had ever met. As far as they can remember, the Reds and Blues were at war with one another, and yet they didn't seem to want to fight. After bickering with one another, they fought aliens, stopped a rogue AI, and, well, that's all they remembered. Before Team RWBY could intervene, they were transported back to their dimension. Yes, it does sound ridiculous, but it's true, and we've promised that we'd find a way back to help them, said RWBY. So do you want to travel to another dimension, or rot away in your dorm room? Weiss added. Team JNPR stared at each other for a moment, and nodded in agreement. Alright, let's go, John said. Hooray, shouted RWBY. At that moment, Weiss facepalmed. Teams RWBY and JNPR left their dorm room, and headed to Beacon Cliff overlooking the Emerald Forest. RWBY was happy at the fact that Team JNPR was joining them on their adventure. They were like a sister team to her, both met during initiation, and had the same classes with them. John Ark was their leader. He had messy, bright blonde hair, and dark blue eyes. Despite being a semi-bad fighter, he was a great leader. His weapon was known as Crocea Morse, simple sword and shield that belonged to his grandfather. Nora Valkyrie was by far the most hyperactive, and bubbly girl they have ever met. She had short orange hair, and teal-colored eyes. Her weapon known as Malayle, a large hammer that could turn into a grenade launcher. Hira Nikos was the most talented of the 4. She had bright red hair tied into a ponytail, and green emerald eyes. She won the Mistral tournament 4 times in a row, which earned her reputation. Her weapons were Milo, a spear sword rifle, and a Kuno, a circular shield. Then there was Lai Ren. Ren was the most quiet and mature. He had black hair tied into a ponytail and pink eyes. His weapon was a pair of machine pistols known as Storm Flower. Eventually both teams arrived at Beacon Cliff and Weiss pulled out a small, hand-sized silver cube, along with Wyoming's helmet they obtained from Blood Gulch. This cube, Weiss said, will send us to any member of the Reds and Blues. So who should we find first? Replied Yang. I think we should find Church, he seems to act as the voice of reason. RWBY said. Can we trust him? Hira asked. Yes, I think. What do you mean? Asked Ren. RWBY froze. Well, he's kind of you know. He's an asshole. Weiss hissed. What? No he's not. RWBY shouted. Whatever, let's find him. Weiss muttered. Out of all the Reds and Blues, only one seemed to be the most sane and reasonable out of all of them. Leonard Church was not a capable soldier, but was a very effective leader. Sure he complained, and bickered with his team from time to time, but he did care for them. Weiss activated the cube and plugged it into Wyoming's helmet. She attempted to find Church, but then stopped. That's strange, Weiss muttered. What do you mean? Asked John. I can't find Church, I guess we should find someone else, she replied. Alright, go for it, Blake said. Before they could do any else, Noda ran up and grabbed the cube and began to fiddle with. No wait, screamed RWBY. Just then, the cube began to glow and a flash of white light came. When the light faded, teams RWBY and JNPR were gone. Chapter 2, Don't Get Me Started. Outpost 17B, Valhalla, 2554. Teams RWBY and JNPR. Premise. Teams RWBY and JNPR arrive in a strange new place. While anew begins for Red Team in their new home. RWBY opened her eyes only to find her team and JNPR staring at her, which she was startled at. "Ah, what happened?" asked RWBY. Nora decided to take the teleporter and tinker with it. Ren stated, while glaring at Nora. "Hey, they were taking forever." Nora claimed. "Whatever, do you guys know where we are?" John chimed in. Both teams looked around. They were not in Blood Gulch, instead they were in a large canyon, overlooking a large lake. On both sides were two bases with a huge spire on top that let out a pulse of energy every minute. A waterfall ran down the cliffside near one of the bases, and flowed into a river that ran out into the lake. Behind the teams was huge wall that seemed to be built into the canyon itself, and a large ship was seen crashed into ground. But the weirdest thing was that there was some snow in some places, even though it was warm outside. RWBY and JNPR looked in awe, trying to figure out where they were. "This place is beautiful," cried RWBY. "I have to agree with RWBY on this one," Pyrrha said. Just then, the two teams noticed three soldiers coming out of one of the bases, a red one, a maroon one, and an orange one. They all carried firearms, and were walking casually into the middle of the canyon. Teams RWBY and JNPR were hiding behind some rocks overlooking the soldiers. Just then the three stopped and the red soldier walked up to a hill overlooking one of the bases and finally spoke. "Attention Blue Team, this is the Red Team. We are here to destroy you." Team JNPR stared blankly at the soldiers, wondering what they were doing until John finally spoke. "Who are these guys?" he asked. Weiss facepalmed, while Yang started giggling, and Blake just smirked. RWBY then turned to John and smiled. "You heard him, John, that is the Red Team." Pav change. Red Team. A few minutes ago, another day was beginning for Red Team. It had been about a year since they blew the lid on Project Freelancer, and received their new base. Since then they ran their basic drills, restored power to their base, installed a state-of-the-art hologram chamber, and had been spying on a lone blue soldier. Dexter Griff, one of the soldiers, was sleeping in his bunk when he was awoken by the sound of a shotgun going off. "What the hell?" Griff shouted. "Wake up, dirtbag," Sarge ordered. "We're going over to Blue Base to analyze the threat." "Do I have to?" Griff groaned, and Sarge cocked his shotgun, and pointed it at him. "Fine, I'll get up," Griff said. Griff got out of his bunk, picked up a battle rifle, and followed Sarge out of Red Base, and towards the coastline of Valhalla. There they met up with another soldier in maroon armor. "Nice work at waking up Griff, sir," Simmons said as the two walked towards him. "Thank you, Simmons. Now let's destroy those dirty blues." Before they could do anything else, a large bright light engulfed the canyon and then disappeared. "What the fuck was that?" shouted Simmons. "Who cares?" Sarge said. "It probably came from Blue Base, remember they've been working on something." "By them you mean him, right?" Griff said. "What?" Sarge replied, a little confused. "The girls." "Him, Caboose. He's the only blue soldier over there." Griff hissed. "Oh, right," Sarge replied. "Let's go." "Wait, what did you mean by the girls?" Simmons asked. Sarge gave the two soldiers a blank stare. "You know, Team RWBY." Simmons and Griff's eyes widened, and realized what he was talking about. "Oh them. I almost forgot about those four," Griff said. "Whatever, come on let's get moving," Sarge ordered. The trio then started walking towards Blue Base. Eventually they made it to the middle of the canyon, where Sarge then walked up to the top of a hill and shouted. "Attention Blue Team, this is the Red Team. We are here to destroy you." Pav change. Teams RWBY and JNPR. RWBY and JNPR were still spying on the soldiers from a distance, and as the red one was talking JNPR began asking questions. "These are the guys you were talking about?" Ren asked. "Yep, they're goofy as hell," Yang replied. "They do seem nice," Pyrrha added. They then hear the red soldier swear and Nora finally spoke. "And with that language, they're definitely not Atlas." "So who are those three?" asked John. Yang pointed to the red soldier, standing on the hill. "The red one is named Sarge, he's the leader of Red Team. He comes up with some of the funniest ideas we've ever seen." RWBY then pointed to the maroon soldier. "That's Simmons, he's basically Sarge's number 2. He can be a little shy from time to time. He's also a total suck-up. Yang added. Yang. RWBY yelled. What? It's true. Yang replied. Blake then chimed in, I think Griff would use the word, kiss ass. I gonna guess Griff is the yellow one. Nora asked. 1. Yes he is, and 2. His armor is orange not yellow you dolt. Weiss hissed. Geez, calm down Weiss. John said. Calm down. You want me to calm down? They're bunch of stupid idiots. Weiss snapped. That's a little harsh, said Pyrrha. HMPH. Weiss muttered. Who's the blue one? Ren asked. Team RWBY stared at her, confused at what she was talking about. Blue one, said Blake. Duh, the blue one running out of the base. It looks like he's heading for that crashed ship over there. Nora replied. Both RWBY and JNPR looked out to see a blue soldier running from the other base, and out into the canyon. His armor was the same design as Red Team's but his helmet was different. He had an assault rifle attached to his back and was carrying a small crate. RWBY smiled warmly, along with Blake and Yang, while Weiss just scoffed, and said. Oh, that one, I forgot about him. Caboose, shouted RWBY, but unfortunately for her, he didn't hear he. Pav change, Caboose. For about a year, Michael J. Caboose had been the only remaining member of Blue Team. Church was sort of dead, and Tucker was nowhere to be found. But that didn't stop him from being childish. Ever since being allowed to live in Valhalla, Caboose began secretly working on a project that he kept to himself. But first, he had to go get some parts from the crashed ship. As he was about to leave the base, he noticed a bright light that engulfed the canyon. Caboose then looked up, as he had mistaken it for the sun. Neat, he said. The blue soldier then made his way happily to the crashed ship. After picking up some parts, he noticed that Red Team was nearby. Curious, he decided to strike up a conversation with them. Do you want me to help you subtract 1 from 5? I know that's hard for you. Griff said to his maroon companion. Shut up, replied Simmons. Hey guys, said Caboose. Both Griff and Simmons turned around to see the blue soldier standing right behind him. What are doing here? Asked Simmons. Just getting parts from the crashed ship. What are you guys up to? He replied. We're deciding whether or not kill you, and wipe out your team forever. Griff said casually. Oh, that sounds tough, do I get a vote? Said Caboose. Wah no. Go back to your base, stop wandering around during your defeat. Simmons threatened. Okay bye, replied Caboose in his usual happy tone. And what are you working on? Asked Simmons as Caboose ran off. Still not telling you, he replied. As Caboose ran off, Sarge returned from the hill. He had been on a call their command to get some information on defeating the Blues. Hello, they hung up on me. He said. What happened? Asked Simmons. Command said they know nothing about the Blues, no records at all. Sarge replied. Simmons the remembered something, huh? Oh, we deleted it remember, from Command's database. We did, muttered Sarge, we did. I remember now. Boy, we just, yang it there. Griff and Simmons froze at what Sarge just said. Sarge is something wrong? Griff asked. What do you mean, dirtbag? Sarge replied. You've been acting weird, said Simmons. No I haven't. Sarge spill it, the two hissed. Alright fine, don't get your pansies in a bunch. It's been over 2 years and we've heard nothing from Team RWBY. The two soldiers had to agree with Sarge on this one. It had over 2 years since they seen the 14s. They actually remembered the day when Command questioned them on the appearance of Team RWBY in Blood Gulch. Instead of telling them the truth, they said that it was a teleporter malfunction. Surprisingly, Command bought it, and immediately left. Despite this, they were still worried. Sarge saw them as honorary members of Red Team. Simmons just liked having them around, while Griff wished that Yang was with them so they can pull a few pranks on their friends. Don't worry Sarge, I'm sure they're alright, said Simmons. Are you sure? Asked Sarge. Hell yeah. In fact, if they were here right now, I'm pretty sure they say. Yo, how are things Yanging? A voice said. Wow Simmons, that was nice Yang impression. Have you been practicing? Asked Griff. Guys that wasn't me, said Simmons. Red Team froze. They only knew one other person who would say that. Slowly, They turned around, and came face to face with Team RWBY. Next to them was another group of kids. Holy shit. Griff replied, smiling under his helmet. And this the end of part 1 this what if. I hope you guys like it. Don't really leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.